Hey everyone, this is Mukesh Otwani once again from learn-automation.com. Today in this lecture, we are going to talk about array in JavaScript. Now, if you have used any of the programming language like Java, C#, Python or any other programming language, then you must have used array, right? So basically array is nothing but order list of values. In JavaScript, your array can hold different type of values. Okay, so you can have similar type of values, different type of values. An array can have another array, an array can have object, and array can have functions as well. So it depends on what type of value you want to have, you can have that inside that array. Whenever you want to access any value from that array, you can use indexes, which I will show you in a couple of minutes. So whatever things I'm going to discuss, we will see one by one. So in simple words, array can hold any type of values and you want to access them, you can just give the index. Plus if you want to add, remove anything, you can just use some simple methods which array provides. So we have push, we have pop, we have shift, we have unshift, we have splice. It depends on your requirement, you can do a lot of operation on this array. So one important thing which I want to highlight, that whenever you see the type of array, you will always say as an object. So basically array is also an object. So let me show you how this array works, and once we move ahead, we will be getting this array multiple time in our automation, and it's a very interesting topic. So let me show you on Visual Code. So let me start. What I will do, I will create a new JavaScript file. So I will just give this file name as array demo.js. I'm not giving arrays because we already have a array as an object. So again, we have different ways to create arrays. So we'll go with the easiest one first, and once you understand the array concept, then I will show the different ways to create arrays. So you can use let, where, cons, it's up to you. I'm using let, and let me create one simple array. I will call this as ARR. How do we create array? Just use bracket and you can give values. So when I don't give any values, it's still creating this as an array, but this array will be empty. Okay, so if you simply print this and just type ARR. So how do we run? Let's say node, and the file name is array demo.js. You can see it's an empty array, and the moment I put some values, let's say 10, 20, 30, and now if you just try to print what is the type of ARR, you will see here called object. Okay, so if you say type of ARR, you will see it is also an object. So as I mentioned, right, which is in JavaScript, which is something which is not primitive, it's an object. So array also is working as an object here. So let me show you how you can access a specific value from the array. So if you just give ARR, as you can see, I'm getting everything right. But if I want to access anything which is already available inside the list, let's say I want to access only 20. So it will start with 0, 1, 2. So I will just say 1, and this time it will only give me value as 20, which is at index 1, right? 0, 1. What if I want to access value on second index? Definitely it will be 30. But the reason why I'm telling you, if I give some different index which does not even exist in our case, now you will see it's not going to throw any exception just like Java, but here it will simply throw undefined. If you are coming from different programming, let's say Java, then you will be getting here index out of bound exception, but in JavaScript it will give you undefined. Okay, so you can only access the values which have the proper index. So if you want all, just put ARR. If you want a specific one, you can just pass the index. Now, is it mandatory that we can only pass only numbers? No, I can pass string, I can pass boolean, I can also pass undefined and null as well, which I'm not going to do as of now. So if I just print this time, you will see this time my array has 5 values, and this is string and this is boolean. So if I say ARR 5, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, let me give 4. This time I will be getting value as true, and if you want to know the type of this, just add type of ARR4 and it will give you proper that it's a boolean. So let me just keep this normal, which is ARR 4. Now if you want to calculate the length, okay, so you can get the length easily. Just need to say ARR dot length. There's a length property which will give you the length of this array. In our case, it is going to return 5. So index start from 0, but the moment you say length, it is going to give you the proper length. In our case, it is 5. Now suppose you want to access the last element, okay, or let's say second last. In that case, how we can do that? You can take the advantage of this length, because when you have a huge array, right, and if you want to just calculate the last or second last value which you want, you can easily get the length, and based on the length you can access. For example, I want to access the second last. In our case, that is Mukesh. So first of all, I will calculate the length, which is 5, right? Then I will say 5 minus 2, which is 3, and then I will get this value. So if I want, I will say first of all ARR. Here I will say ARR dot length. When I say minus 1, so this is 5 minus 1, 4. ARR 4 means this value 0 1 2 3 4. So you can see I'm getting true, but the moment I say length minus 2, which is second last value from this array, you can get the value which is Mukesh. Now if you want to add any other values, yes, you can do that. If you want to remove any value, yes, you can do that. So how we can do that? First of all, let me show you some methods. So the moment I say ARR dot, you can see we have some predefined properties and methods, right? So as you can see, this is one of the method. For each one of the method, map, slice, concat, copy within entries, and so on. So let me use one method called push. So if you just put mouse over, it says it will add new element to the array, but it will only add at the end of the array. And what it returns, it will return you the new length of the array. In our case, right now we have 5. So if I just add one simple value, let's say 100, okay, let me use this 100 as number. And if I just use first of all log here, so that I want to see the return. So it is basically going to add 100 at the last of this array. So I will just add log and use ARR. So you can see now it is returning me the new length. So initially it was 5. After push, it became 6. So it is returning me the new length, which is 6. And you can see finally we got one more value. So push is a method that you can use whenever you have to insert any value at the end of the array. Okay, now what if I have to add any element at the beginning of the array? Yes, we can do that. So here we have one method called Unshift. So if you just put mouse over, it will also insert an element, but at the starting of the array, and it will also return you the new length. So here the length was 6 after adding 100. Now if I add one more value here, let's say called Otwani, but this Otwani will be added at the beginning, which will be somewhat here. And I don't want to print the length this time. So I will directly say ARR. This time we should have more values. So yes, you can see 100 which we added here, it was coming at last. Otwani got added here. Fine. Just like we have push and unshift, the reverse method, I will not say reverse method, but let's say if you want to delete any element from the first place or the last place, again we have method. So what exactly push did, it added the element at the last, right? In a similar fashion, pop will also remove the element from the last. So if I just want to remove 100 again, so I will use ARR dot, I will use something called pop, and exactly same thing, remove the last element from the array. So if I just use this, so what exactly pop will return? Pop will return you the actual value. So in our case, the pop will remove 100. So total, the final value which it will return will be 100. So if you want, you can print it. Otherwise, you just print the final array. In our case, ARR. Just notice now 100 has been removed. Before pop, we were getting all these values. The moment I say pop, it removed 100. We got this. In a similar fashion, if you just want to remove the first element, okay, so you can just say shift and just see it will remove the first element from the array and it will return the same. So I will use shift again, and I will use this again, print ARR, and you will get the same original string that we started. Fine. The moment it was coming like this, after removing 100 it was coming like this. The moment I called shift, now it also added like removed O20, so it is just giving initial values. But what if I want to remove some other values in the middle? Okay, so let's say I just want to remove 20, 30. I just want to have 10, Mukesh and true. In that case, you can use something called Splice. So if I just use ARR, and you can see we have a method called Splice, which basically will ask you the start and the count. So as you can see, from where to start and finally the count. So I want to start from 1. So this is final array is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So I want to start from 1, which is second value, and the total values which I want to delete is 2. So it will remove 20 and 30. So you will get the final output. If I just use the log again, you can see I got 10, Mukesh and true. After this, again, if I want to remove further values, okay, so again I will use Splice. This time I want to remove Mukesh and true, or let's say I want to remove 10 and Mukesh. I just want only one value. So again I will use Splice. I want to start from 0, and then I want to remove two values, so 10 and Mukesh, so I will say 2. So it will start from here, then two values, 10 and Mukesh, and finally I will be getting one element inside that array, which is true. Okay, so you can use all these methods. Let me quickly give you recap, because the next thing that we are going to discuss is very interesting. So we started with like how we can add the values, okay, and if you don't give anything, it will return you a blank array. But the moment you give any values, okay, you can start accessing using index. You can have same type, different type. When you say type of, it will return you object. When you try to access the length, it will give the length. And if you want to access the second last or the last value, you can use this length property and get the index accordingly. Similarly, you can use push. Push will add at the last. Unshift will add at the beginning. Pop will remove from the last. Shift will remove from the beginning. Splice depends on which index you are giving and how many values you want to delete. Now, can we add another array inside this array? Answer is yes. So one array can have another array as well. So let me use this array again here, because till now we have removed everything. So I will use array 1. Fine, and let me create one more array. So I will say ARR2, and this time let's say I just have 3 names, or let's say 3 programming language. I will use Java, I will use JavaScript, then I will use Python. This is one of my array, and I want to add this array inside this another array. How we can do that? Same process, you don't need to do anything extra. ARR1, just call push if you want to add at the end. If you want to add at the beginning, you can call unshift. I'm using push, and I will say ARR2. So it is going to push ARR2 with to ARR1, and the final ARR1 will be complete array. Here we go. This is my final. So if you want, we can do one thing. Let's add a line here so that you should not get confused with the different output. Now let's run once again. So this is again our array. Array 1 have these values, and again inside array 1 we have another array called array 2. Now we can access this value as usual, right? Because we know the index. What about this? You can also access just like a normal index. So if you notice, this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 5. So if I say ARR 5, ARR 1, just say 5, you will get the nested array, right, which is Java, JavaScript, Python. But from this array, if I want only the second value, so this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, I will just say 1. This time you will only get JavaScript. Can you see this? Because what we did, we said, okay, we want the fifth value. Sorry, basically it's the sixth value because index is 5. Then from that array, we want the second value because we are giving index as 1. Can we add object also inside array? Answer is yes. Since we haven't discussed about object, so I will not be adding many objects, but let me add one object inside this array so that you will have a bigger picture. Once you move ahead, we will see this kind of scenarios again. So I'm going to create another object, which is obj1, where I will just have only one key called name and just one value called Mukesh Utwani. I will just have one more property. Here I will use that which language I use. Let's say I use, as of now, JavaScript. So this is one of my object. If I want to add this object inside this array, I will use ARR1 dot first of all we have to do push. I want to push obj1. Now if you see my final output, you will like this feature, and here we go. So basically this is my complete array. This array have numbers, string, boolean, another array and another object. And how do we access? Exactly same. So let's say I want to access this guy, which is name. So first of all, I need the index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let me access this guy, which is our name property from this array. So as we know that we have everything here. So I'm going to use the index as 6 because we have 7 values. So I will use log, again console.log, that I need the 7th value, which is index 6. Then I'm looking for this property, okay, which is here name. So I will say dot name. So you can see I will get this guy because I'm trying to access this object. Inside this object, I'm looking for a property called name. So I can use this dot operator. In case if you don't want to use this dot operator, you can use bracket annotation. In that case, you just need to give this in double quotes. If you don't understand, the last example is perfectly fine because we haven't discussed about how to define objects and the properties, so on, how to add, how to delete. We will do that. As of now, let's focus on the array. I also want to show you one more part, that this arrays can also have functions. Okay, you must be wondering how it is possible, but yes, it can be done in JavaScript, but that will be too much for today. So we will have this again once we discuss about function. But yes, arrays can also have functions as well. Now let me show you for loop concept because that is quite important. So if I use this ARR, okay, so let me use this again here so that I can directly show you the output. I will use here ARR4. Let me use, or let me retrieve these values using for loop. So I will use for, and I will be using one variable, some random variable, let's say I equal to 0. Then I will put a condition that run till the length of this array, which is, I will say ARR4.length, and every time I want to increment by 1. Now I will say console.log, and how do we access? Same thing, ARR4, whatever array name, and just give the index. So it will start from 0, so 0, then it will keep on running till the line. So once it will return the value, it will increment by 1. 1 is less than equal to 5, yes, and it will keep on running this for loop. Fine, so let's run this and you will get the final output. Okay, in a similar fashion, let's say you want to access this array, which is little complicated one, but let's try to access them using for loop. This has basically array, object and other values. So the process will remain same. So just after this for loop, let me add one more for loop, and let me add this value, one separator. Instead of ARR4, if I use ARR1, and let me change this to ARR1, and let's run the same piece of code, and here we go. So this is just numbers, then it is returning you string, boolean, and one of the iteration it is giving you complete nested array, and it is also giving you one object which is inside the array. So basically this for loop can retrieve any value based on the index that you will provide. So this is just one of the example. You can use for each loop, you can use while loop. There's a lot of scenarios that you can do, but for the time being, I guess this is enough for today, because we have discussed multiple things. We missed one part because this is a little advanced, because we haven't discussed about functions, but you can have function inside arrays as well, and you can call them depends on a requirement. Okay, so we will also discuss that once we will cover that function part. That's all for today, guys. I hope you got to know something new from array side today. And yes, if it is adding some value, please subscribe this channel, share with your friends, colleagues, those who are learning JavaScript. And if you find any issue while learning JavaScript, please let me know in the comment section, and I will see you in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye bye.